Hey everyone, quick disclaimer before this episode even gets started. I don't know if it was my internet or my mic, because my mic acts weird sometimes. I don't know. The audio sounds a little bit off, or if it sounds a little bit jumpy. A lot of things were going on with the recording and like all that other stuff. So it should be fixed for the next episode. But just a quick disclaimer before anybody it's like, oh, like the audio sounds really weird or like certain things just don't sound right. That's exactly why. But yeah, go ahead and enjoy this week's episode. Hello everybody and welcome back to episode 5 of the Going for 3 podcast. As always, my name is Percy Thomas, also known as PTP. And with me as always, we got Tony Farr, aka G, and Chris Collins, aka Hot Takes Collins. How you doing, fellas?
What's up,
I'm
man?
doing well. I'm doing well. The hot
I've got
takes.
I've got a bumping headache, but I am here and ready to
Yeah.
go.
The more time that goes on, Lakers in 2 sounds more like a hot take every day. But we gonna keep the faith.
Well, you'd be like, okay, fine, Lakers in 5. They're playing kind of.
I guess. Fine. I guess they'll get to 5.
Yeah, right now it's like Lakers in 7. I mean, you never know.
Looks like it's more like you mean more like Lakers and playing.
No. First, we're not even gonna address Grams and PTP Lakers in 7. That's like panic mode. So we're not even.
Yeah.
We're not there yet.
So Lakers in 2 is like the utmost like confidence.
Hey, I could have said Lakers in lottery, but I was trying not to be disrespectful.
I mean, I thought you wanted to be. I thought we were in reality. That's not even. Come on, man. Come on.
Can you honestly say that's the way they're going right now? That a play-in is impossible.
Yes. Is it lottery or play-in? Which one is it, man? Make up your mind.
Well, my first thing was play-in. I wasn't going to say lottery. They're not going to be a lottery. Come on.
Play-in is a little extreme.
Lottery is a stretch.
No, but play-in
too. Yeah, it is. They'll be all right.
Hey, play-in is definitely probably in your future. I can.
See, we vibing. I like it. We vibing from the jump. I like this.
We're disrespecting from the jump. That's what I see. That's what I hear.
At some point, we're gonna get into that at some point. But
yeah,
we're gonna start off real light. Odell Beckham Jr. Rams. Oh, around last week, right?
Yeah,
I believe so. After a game of kind of seeing like what the offense would look like. Granted, it's not its full like array because Woods eventually got injured for the season. I feel the rest of the season is going to look
the same day he signed. Yeah,
Rams.
Well, Woods' injury happened the same day Odell signed. I think it was Wednesday. So you got. I understand the Rams offense and the Browns offense is, I guess you could say, at its core, they're similar, but obviously, McVay's got he's got a complex offense. Now, I don't want to say anything negative about Odell yet. They only had a few days practice. He's got to get really into the playbook. You can obviously tell that, he needs to build a rapport with Stafford. That's going to take a little more time, so I don't want to dog him yet. But the Rams are going to have to definitely tweak their offense without Woods. And the bad play I saw, I know a lot of people are going to probably did, although I haven't really watched a lot of the sports talk shows the last couple days. I'm sure a lot of people threw shade at Odell for, his play, that interception that was headed his way. But, you could say he kind of broke off the route. He could have come back so that Stafford didn't make such a bad throw. But I put that as much on Stafford as I do on Odell. It was a terrible play. It was a terrible throw. I want to give him a little more time to practice, learn the playbook, see if he's got a rapport with Stafford before, I make a final judgment on it. Not a great start. That's about all I'll say.
Let's see. It's like I agree with you to a certain point. Well, I mean, I agree with you with most of the points you said, but I feel like you're kind of on the fence as far as Blake is kind of getting close to dogging on him too, and I'm nowhere near there, man. Like he got signed on Wednesday. If we're being honest, he really shouldn't have been out on the field just from a playbook standpoint. Like he wasn't ready. They have no rapport. Like he did. Like people were talking about he quit on the route. The route they weren't in sync. Like he ran. They didn't run the right route. It wasn't in sync. It wasn't a good play. Like you said, it wasn't going to work. I'm not going to say he quit on it. It was a receiver can tell from the jump if the ball is going to be catchable or not. That motherfucker's not catchable. So I mean,
well, I think to that,
do?
I think to that point, I think he ran his route, and when obviously when the play broke, he stopped, and then Stafford saw him and thought he would, improvise and
I mean,
go.
you can't know what that you can't
No,
know how and what to do that.
that's
With a
why I'm
quarterback.
saying. That's why I'm saying. I think he stopped, and when the play broke, he didn't try to get himself open and continue the play. But it's just as much on, like I said, it's just as much on Stafford as it is him, because Stafford still saw him out there and made a terrible throw. But it didn't seem like once the ball was in the air, it didn't seem like Odell made any effort until it was picked and then tackled the guy. You know what I mean? So I can't say there's 0 on Odell for that. But
it would be a mix because I mean, looking at how
I really
Cousins
think
and
it's
them
a
played.
non-story, man. I really think it's a.
No, I'm not.
Absolute
Like I said,
non-story.
I'm not gonna drop the hammer on him yet. They only had a few days of practice.
This is only an issue because it's Odell, man. Like it wasn't a catchable ball. He doesn't know the offense. Like clearly Sean McVay wanted to get him involved early in some capacity,
Sure.
just give him the ball early when it was clear as day that they weren't up to sync on just like offense in general. And it's like, and even you want to talk about that play, that interception. I mean, Odell's down there with 2 other defenders. Like this ain't Calvin Johnson. Like Odell can be great, but like he's not even that type of receiver. Like even if he kept running, Stafford is throwing into double coverage. So it's like it's really, to me, like I said, it's
Plus
a non-story.
plus it was an overthrow.
I mean, it's 2 people down there, and it's two 49ers and one Odell.
Right, but it was basically like 5 yards to the right of where Odell was. Once he saw the ball in the air, he started moving. By the time he was there, it was like 5 yards to the right of him, and then, like I said, minimal Odell, because when a play breaks down and your quarterback's trying to move out of the pocket to make a throw, receivers tend to try to keep moving to get open. And I don't know that he necessarily did that. But again, I'm not taking away from.
You're absolutely right. But at the same point in time, like if I'm a receiver and I see the play breaking down, I'm gonna go ahead and probably assume.
Oh no, yeah,
that my quarterback that's coming out the pocket is gonna find some underneath routes and not throw it deep to a guy that.
No,
has
that's fair.
2
That's
defenders
fair.
on him.
It was. Let me put it this way. Maybe I didn't word it right. Most of the blame is on Stafford for that throw. It was a terrible throw. But you can't say it's 0 Odell, because he could have probably maybe.
I just don't know. I don't know.
I'm just saying,
I don't agree, man.
He could have maybe continued his route, come back to something shorter, or once he saw the ball in the air, made more effort to go get it, or try to go get it, or knock it down, or something, instead of just being in the vicinity. And then once the 2 DBs were there and it was intercepted, he got a chance to pop the guy. You know what I mean? It's
Gramps, I'm trying to tell you. I think you need to rewatch it, man, because I'm trying to tell you, man, he runs this route, and then he sees that he doesn't get the ball, and then it's like Stafford threw it immediately, like after the route was over. And me as Odell, I still have somebody over the top, and I have the corner that's guarding me. And then you overthrew it. It's like he threw it straight to them after the route was over. And it's just, I don't really know what people want Odell to do. It's kind of like, I know I'm a pivot real quick, but it's kind of like the whole Teddy Bridgewater thing, where people are complaining that he didn't try to tackle the defensive player with the interception. Like, you want him to get hurt? It's not my job to tackle. You know,
No,
like,
but he did tackle. But he did tackle.
He did.
What
He,
I'm
he tried.
what I'm trying to say is, it seemed like he was. By the time the ball got down there, he was out of the play. I look minimal. I got minimal. If it was anybody else,
it's a
I would say the same.
That's what I'm saying.
No, I'm not saying it's a story, but anybody else, I would still say the same thing. Any other receiver, I'd be like, why didn't he try to come back for a shorter route? Why didn't he stay with the play? Why didn't he try to stop the interception or try to get involved in the play? Something like that. I would do that for any receiver. It's more Stafford than Odell, but
no, I agree with you, but I
and
do
I-
think
and
I feel like you need to watch the tape.
and I did say I'm not going to drop the hammer on Odell yet. It's only he's been with the team for a week. He's only had a few practices,
It
and
hasn't even been a week. From Wednesday to Sunday wasn't really even a week.
Well,
He
yeah,
got signed.
Like,
He probably
no,
didn't touch the facility till Thursday or Friday, if we're being
all
quite
right,
honest.
and it's going to take some time to build rapport with Stafford. It was absolutely a terrible throw. I just think a receiver in that situation, he could have done more to try to get themselves open, or obviously Stafford thought he was going to carry the route towards the end zone, which is why he
To
heaved it
me,
up there.
That's fair.
if he cuts to the right, that's a touchdown. If we're being honest, if he cuts to the right,
No, I mean, I'm looking.
no, like, don't think about it.
I'm,
Don't think about it. Like the second close defender was on his left side. Guy in the middle is just sitting. If Odell reroutes it, he makes it an easier catch for him to possibly ring down.
No, but
Maybe first and goal.
you want him to reroute a planned route. Like what? Okay, so I got it in front of me, and what I see is it's a zone. He gets off the zone of the initial corner. He flies past the other guy. He gets ahead of him. It looks like almost like the route is to be like a shallow corner route, to where he cuts to the left a little bit, and then he looks back for the ball. He sees it's not coming for him, but then Stafford steps up in the pocket and throws it basically toward the middle of the end zone. When I cut left on it, what looks like a corner route. So then it's like, we don't know the route. If anything, honestly, it looks like an option route for Odell to run, and it looks like he went for the corner instead of the post.
Maybe it's possible Odell ran the wrong route.
I mean, she did that too, but at the same point in time,
that's why I'm saying that play is. That's why I'm saying
what P2P.
If it would be like if it's like visually, if it would be considered to be an option route, if Odell is seen as a high quality receiver, if the route breaks down and they cut off your left, you can't just give up and say, because at the same time Stafford, like, the pocket collapsed on Stafford at the same time. So if anything, the whole play was broken down.
No,
if he
but
cuts to the right,
honestly, bro,
even if it's an incompletion, he still tried.
I don't see the route being cut off to his left though. Like, he had someone on that back right hit, but I mean, a good throw can get him open on that corner route. Honestly, that's why he's turning around for the ball when he gets past whatever number this guy.
Like I said, it's possible he ran the wrong route, and
it's possible. It's possible, but I mean, I feel like that goes back to the point where I'm just like, he maybe shouldn't even really been out there. But I get it. He's a play. I mean, we perceive him as a playmaker with the ball, so we want to get him the ball as quick as possible.
Well, like I said, in the end, it's minimal. I'm going to still say I'm going to give minimal on him for that. Mostly Stafford. Bad throw. Again, I'm not going to drop the hammer on him after a few practices in a game. Now, 2 weeks from now, if this is still going on,
we're just ready to just throw all the blame on Odell at all points in time, all the time, man. God damn.
If he's in 2 or 3 weeks, he's not doing anything.
No, I get that, but I'm saying, like, if this exact type thing happens next week, I see something different. I literally see him running his corner route. Whether it's right or wrong, we don't know. If it's wrong, that's hopefully he can right that ship. But I mean, what I see is he runs that corner route and literally he turns around and Matthew Stafford throws the fucking ball to the middle. So, I mean, and when he sees the ball being thrown, he runs to it. I mean, God, I don't know what you want. It looks like as soon as he sees it, he starts running toward the ball. But I mean, it's like you said, it's about 5 yards too deep for him.
Well, let's see. They overall the team was out of rhythm.
Yeah,
Looked bad. They couldn't
interceptions
run.
weren't great.
They couldn't run. It's just they're out of sync. Again, I don't hate Odell. I'm not going to drop the hammer on him yet. I'll give it some time.
Put the hammer back in the holster, Grimps.
I'm not going to drop the hammer yet. I've never hated Odell, honestly. It's kind of like it's almost like I feel sorry for him because it's like it just seems like what happened.
Well, he was with the Giants and he was doing well. When Tom was there, and then Tom's last year's Eli started, getting degenerating and getting a little worse. Odell had some struggles too with the whole yacht party before the playoff game. That wasn't a good look. He had drops. Then he got hurt, and then he went to Cleveland. And there's Baker and Stefanski and all of that bullshit that was going on there. Not a great quarterback, not a great head coach the first years. They're trying to force feed him, but they don't have the rapport. And then, I mean, I don't know, man, but he's going to get.
You think at this point it's maybe not so much like the situations he's in. It's like maybe he's in his own head. Maybe he's in his own head a little bit.
I don't really think so, man. I heard somebody today that literally tried to tell their audience, they have an audience, that Odell was no longer a number one receiver and no longer a number two receiver on most good teams. And that
that's pushing it. I mean the number one thing okay. Number two on most teams. Come on, that's ridiculous.
I mean, we all saw it's a very cherry picked video, but we all saw the video of Cleveland where he's open on all these damn routes. I saw the route running still there. I saw the cutting and explosiveness out of the breaks still there. So, I mean, yeah, he had some drops in some drop problems this past year in Cleveland, or not this past year, this year in Cleveland. But I don't know. I feel like with the stability of the Rams and like the leadership of the Rams is also going to help quite a lot too. You got veterans in there that have been to Super Bowls. You got, when you got the best player on your team, probably working the hardest on out of the entire team, and Aaron Donald, you're either gonna fall in line or get with the program, or you're not gonna be there. And I've never perceived Odell to be someone that doesn't work. You know what I mean? Like I perceive him to be, run a little hot at times, but other than that, I think he'll succeed here, man. He's gonna get the touches, so it's like he would, in my opinion, he would have to drop off a cliff to not produce, because he's going to get the touches, because Robert Woods, like we said, Robert Woods got hurt, so he's the number two guy. So they're going to be open. I mean, well, their opportunities are going to be there. I don't want to say he's going to be open. We'll see. We'll see with that. But I don't know. I also don't want us to blame Odell if the Rams' overall offensive struggles continue, because I feel like a lot of their struggles come from them not being able to run the ball or not committing to running the ball.
It'll run way deeper than Odell just kind of being like the new face in town, because like you said, they don't really run the ball. Stafford's interceptions before Odell even got there were just kind of like forced decisions overall. So
yeah, I mean he's had his two worst games of the season have been these past two games. So, but we all know if the offense keeps struggling, it will be somehow Odell's fault. They can't run the ball. It's Odell's fault. They shouldn't.
Media wise, it'll be like, oh, Odell's a toxin in that locker room. You see how you don't want to. You see how these referees aren't running their routes anymore.
They were doing. People were doing that during the game. They're like, Odell, like right before halftime, it was like Odell's already requested a trade from the team. It's like, oh, come on, y'all got to stop.
Man,
You out of pocket.
give the guy a break, man. Like also, what has he ever said? Yes, his dad posted the video. He didn't post it. Other than that, bro, he's always just had a reputation of being emotional. He's never been a cancer to a locker room. The media really just wants to add that label to him, and that's not true. It's never been that way.
Yeah.
And then you got anonymous players. I hate when people anonymous sources. Say it with your chest. Man, anonymous sources. Oh, okay. Was it Baker? If it was Baker, then say it with your chest, Baker. Talking about anonymous sources.
Hey, so, the jury still be out on Odell, very much so. But all right, move on to this next thing. College football playoffs, man. Starting to wind down. Get to the nitty gritty. At the rankings update. The top
Pretty
four
much the
really.
same.
Yeah, pretty much. I think only swap was like Michigan and Michigan State, maybe.
No, it's the same.
Exactly.
Same as it was last week. Yeah, Michigan 6, Michigan State 7. Yeah.
So as of this point, as the season's starting to wind itself down, I see any team slowing down, any team starting to barring any chaos, any team slow down and kind of just play themselves out of the top four, or
Well, barring chaos, Oklahoma's not gonna make it.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, they still have 2 ranked teams in the Big 12 championship, which could be a third quote unquote ranked team, although, ranked doesn't necessarily mean anything unless they're like top 10, 12. And I don't know if that's going to be the case. Maybe, possibly, but it's going to take a lot of stuff for them to move back into that 4. It would take Alabama losing again, which
Possible.
could happen. Yeah, they could lose any of the next 3 games, but obviously the Georgia one is the one that a lot of people would think they would lose. But
Ohio State could lose. Ohio State could lose this Saturday.
I mean, I don't know what is. I think Oregon has Oregon State and Utah, and then I think they're going to probably play Utah again in the Pac-12 title game. So if they lose another game, Cincinnati could lose a game because they haven't looked dominant, but Ohio State could lose. I'm not seeing it, but they could. I guess it depends.
They do play Michigan State this week. Yeah,
they do play Michigan State this week. Yeah, and then
I mean, if they don't lose, then they should move up. If they beat Michigan State, they should move past Oregon.
Sure, probably. Depending what happens, it could happen organically, or we're going to lose, but they should, because if you're going to use that, because they've got better wins and they're dominating people, then yeah, they should be ahead of Oregon, because it's the same parallel as why Michigan's ahead of Michigan State.
Yeah,
because I guess in essence, Michigan's quote unquote profile looks better, and their loss isn't on par with Michigan State's. That's why they're ahead. But you got to look at the other side of it. It's like, okay, fine. Michigan lost a game. Michigan State lost a game. Michigan State lost to a inferior team than Michigan did. Fair, but under the same pretense, you've got Oregon ahead of Ohio State because Oregon went on the road and beat Ohio State.
True, but how many other quality wins?
But under the same vein, Michigan and Michigan State played, and Michigan State won. So under that same sort of quote unquote criteria, then Michigan State should be ahead of Michigan. Because Oregon is ahead of Ohio State Yes, they beat Ohio State, but who's got the better loss? Is that what they're going to go with? Because Oregon's loss is worse than Ohio State losing to Oregon.
Who they lose to? Stanford.
Stanford, yeah.
It's way worse.
I mean, like I don't know. We'll see. If Ohio State wins out, there's no way.
I'm just saying, if that's part of the
There's 0%
criteria, though,
chance.
if that wasn't really a determining factor, and it was just like, well, they have the same record, but Oregon beat Ohio State, so Oregon's ahead. Then Michigan State should be ahead of Michigan.
And then also,
Period.
If Ohio State wins out, then none of this Michigan State talk even matters.
Yeah,
because they'll all have 2 losses.
Because they'll both be out. They'll both be out, and then, but then what do you do if they all lose, and Cincinnati loses a game, and Oregon loses a game, which is entirely possible, and Alabama loses a game, likely Georgia. Then what do you do?
Well, then a lot of these teams are going to stay if they all have 2 losses or 1 or 2 losses.
Do you think a 2-loss Alabama still gets in?
It depends on who they lose to. If they lose to Georgia, yeah,
probably.
I think so. Only if all those other teams lose how you say they did. I mean, but they will be hard pressed to take Alabama out. They don't want to.
So they don't want to. That's why a lot of people make jokes at the college football playoffs, the Alabama Invitational, because they get in no matter what.
But they're really the years where they're really not even that good, they're still at the top.
I honestly don't think if they lose a second game, even if it's Georgia, I don't think they should be in. Period. I don't think they should. I don't think they should be in. I don't.
It's not like they're taking down like in the past where they've had like multiple where they've had like a team where they've had multiple NFL draft prospects. This team still has prospects, obviously, but like a lot of them guys aren't even going into the draft yet, or like they're like linemen pretty much. So it's not even like this is like the all around team that they've put out in recent years. So if they were to miss the college playoffs this year, it's not like end all be all. Like they just didn't make it this year. Teams got better.
Okay, well,
I mean, they would still be disappointed.
All right, well, if Alabama loses another game, Oregon loses, Cincinnati loses,
it'd be Georgia and Ohio State,
and Ohio State wins out, which means Michigan loses a second game. Michigan State loses a second game.
I would probably have Georgia, Ohio State.
Then you've got Notre Dame at 8.
They would have to move up, I assume.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they would probably move into the 4.
I mean, you got
Oklahoma. You got Oklahoma State at 9. If they can beat Oklahoma and finish 11-1, could it be them? Because really, no, there isn't anybody else. I mean, Oklahoma's at 13 with 1 loss, but they also have 3 ranked games left. Could they jump 9 spots in 3 weeks? Maybe. It could very well be with some chaotic shit. You could have Georgia, Ohio State,
Cincinnati out. Would it be
with a loss?
But would it be fair to drop Cincinnati completely out?
I think if they lose a game, it's enough of an excuse to keep them out
and put Notre Dame over them.
Probably.
I don't know.
I could see with chaos, it could very well be Georgia, Ohio State, Notre Dame, Oklahoma.
But it's like if Cincy wins out, though, then I mean
that don't sit too well with my spirit.
No, Cincy should win out, but if they lose a game, it's going to be to somebody bad, and that'll be the excuse.
Notre Dame only has what?
1 loss.
But I'm saying one ranked win. they beat Wisconsin when they were 18. That's their only ranked win. They're playing a lot of name schools.
I mean, that wins looks a lot better now than it did.
No, I get that, but I'm saying, like, how can we be so sure that Notre Dame would pass them, Cincinnati, if they both have 1 loss when, I mean, they both have 1 ranked win, and Cincinnati's ranked win is over the team that we're saying is now over them. Like it don't sit right with my spirit.
Well, again, that's part of the arguing people have, because it's the same general argument as to, well, Oregon beat
Ohio State. Yeah.
Oregon beat Ohio State, but lost to a worse team. So, but they're ahead, and Michigan's ahead of Michigan State, even though Michigan State beat them. But Michigan State lost to a team worse than what Michigan
Well,
did, and then
well,
you just got this you got this big kind of ball of how is the committee figuring this out?
well, I think with Ohio State, like we talked about, like they have a gauntlet coming up. You know, if they go through this winning both of these games, then I mean, like yeah,
Who would they
Oregon.
play? Who would they play in the Big Ten championship? Would they?
Uh,
Would it be?
would it be to be one of the Michigans, right?
Uh,
They'd have to play. They'd play them again.
let me see here. No, they're both in the same division, so
Yeah.
it would be probably Wisconsin or Iowa. Probably Wisconsin, I guess. Assuming
Okay.
Wisconsin wins their last game, it would be, and then because Wisconsin's ranked 15, so if they win that last game, I assume they move up a little.
So yeah,
So
if they
that would be.
beat Michigan State, and Wisconsin in the Big Ten. I mean,
Oh
come
yeah,
on.
no, yeah, they're easy,
That's a
no
gauntlet.
question. Yeah, no question. And Alabama loses, yeah, then Ohio State's too. But you could end up very well. I could see a scenario where the committee, because the committee's criteria, you cannot tell what it is. I could see a scenario where all of this happens. Oregon loses a game, which would be another quote unquote inferior opponent. That drops them, and then is the committee going to really take a look at someone like Wake Forest or somebody like that? No.
Nah.
So then you could see Notre Dame moving up, and then because one of their games, 2 games left at Stanford, who beat Oregon, so they could use that as an excuse to bump them up over Oregon, and then Oklahoma's got 3 ranked games left. And I assume if the rankings are right and they stay that way, they have 3 ranked games left, and one of them's Oklahoma State, who's top 10, so they could scoot up. So very well, Cincinnati loses, Alabama loses, Oregon loses, then you could very well have Georgia, Ohio State, Notre Dame, Oklahoma,
Yeah,
or Oklahoma, Notre Dame.
but
It could happen.
we both well, I don't know if we both said, but I still don't think. I'm not sure Alabama would leave if they lose to Georgia. To be honest, I could literally see it being
I could
if
see it,
Alabama
but
loses to
I could see
Georgia.
it, but it should. I could see it, but it shouldn't be.
I mean, maybe I could see it being Georgia, Ohio State, maybe Oregon or Cincinnati with Alabama at 4, depending on if Oregon wins out and Cincinnati wins out. I don't know why.
I feel like they probably do beat Michigan State, barring. I have more. I have more of an idea to see that Michigan has a better chance of beating than Michigan State. Surprisingly enough.
I don't know if I could say that. I'll give you that
That's mainly what I'm
offensively, but
offensively, it's up in the air.
when Oregon beat Ohio State, they ran all over them, and Michigan State could do that. Y'all,
True, but that win was a while. That was a while ago.
I understand that, but that's how it happened, and Michigan State probably has the edge on offense. You guys have the edge on defense. I'll give that's so.
Yeah,
I feel like in that case, if it's better chance of stopping them, that opens the door for say maybe a few more offensive possessions rather than if Kenneth Walker ain't getting no touches. Then obviously the game is Ohio State's balls at that point. Like they can't run all over him if you don't got it. So
I mean, I'm saying, but Oregon ran all over them and barely got out of there with a win. So it's like, are you gonna?
If anything, you want it to be more or less like, okay, we can stop them at least. Like every once in a while, we can give us those extra few possessions. If we're just Kenneth Murray, not Kenneth Murray, Kenneth Walker probably go for like 100 on the ground in the first quarter, and the game still be only up by he's about you by 7.
He gonna need about 3 tubs.
Yeah, he gonna have to turn into like the spawn of Barry if get that
To be
out of there.
perfectly honest with you, all kidding aside, as much as I don't like your team, sorry, PTB,
wow.
I don't like your team.
Oh,
Now let me finish.
Sensing
As much as
hate right now.
I didn't say hate, I said as much as I don't like your team. To be honest with you, whatever the playoff is, as long as Alabama's not in it, I'm good.
wow.
I'm tired of seeing them in it all the fucking time, bro.
So even if they went out and they beat Georgia, you still don't think they should be in it?
Well, no, it's not about should be in them. I just don't want to see them in it.
Okay. I mean, but hey, they're great. They're consistently great. That's what happens.
I'm just tired of it. I'm just tired of them.
This is probably the longest running.
Yeah, but aren't you tired of them? I mean, damn.
Hey.
Not really. I mean,
but I guess but
they've lost the years.
But if you want to be more realistic, what I want to happen, I don't care about the result of the game because I don't. I want Cincinnati to get in.
It's not an easy route.
I mean, you got to give them. You got. I mean, there have been teams that have tried to claw their way up and fell short. Blah 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 blah. Cincinnati is right there. If somebody above them loses and they win their final 2 games, and if Notre Dame keeps winning, then they've still got that win on their resume. Put them in.
I guess maybe. I mean, you have a point, but at the same point in time, I'm sure.
Because then maybe
thinking about Notre Dame.
Because then maybe those schools will do better scheduling in the non-conference, even if they can't get 2 games against big boys, but maybe they can get 1 against a sort of big boy, and then their other non-conference games will be against at least better competition than what they're scheduling now, so that they can.
Here's what I'll ask you though: Do you think that Cincinnati has any shot to beat the 3 teams that would be above them, whether it be Ohio State, Alabama, or Georgia? Or I guess and Oregon too. But do you think they have a shot? Or because I think it could get very ugly. Personally,
I can see Cincinnati beating Oregon.
Yeah, I can see Cincinnati beating Oregon.
Maybe Oregon, but Ohio State, Alabama, and Georgia, I see that getting ugly. To be quite honest, 42 to 16 type shit.
Let me put you this way. I think if you take Oregon out, because I think they could beat Oregon. If you take the 3 of them out, I think the one they'd have the best chance of the best shot at hanging with. I'm not gonna say beat, but hanging with.
You're gonna say Alabama, aren't you?
Is Georgia?
Oh no.
Well, wait a minute. Let me finish. Wait. Georgia's got wait. Georgia. I admit Georgia has an elite defense. Cincinnati's defense isn't bad. Georgia's offense is their offense isn't all that great. So I'm saying I think they had the best chance of hanging with them because Georgia's offense isn't all that great. It does enough, but it's not that great. That defense is lights out, but that offense is not. Wow, it's not.
Georgia was smacking teams when they were. I know we don't. Maybe we think the ranked opponents that they played look worse now, but that's only in part because they smacked them when they played them.
I just don't think Georgia has an elite offense. That's why I say that. They don't.
Man, they're destroying. They're destroying SEC teams.
Yeah, I understand that. That defense is disgusting. I absolutely agree.
But I'm saying the SEC defenses are usually good, and Georgia is scoring on them too.
But this year, for the most part, the SEC defenses are bad, and I think Cincinnati's defense is probably better than a lot of those teams.
Then who's Arkansas, Auburn's, and Kentucky?
Yeah, sure. Tennessee, all them. Yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm. Like I said,
bump Cincinnati.
If one of those teams,
I'll say it.
If one of those teams loses, especially Oregon, whatever, Cincinnati should be in.
We'll see.
Especially if say like Oregon loses, all right, and Oklahoma loses a game, which they absolutely could, right? So
Okay.
and then Alabama loses the second game, all right. Ohio State
Yeah.
runs the table. They beat Michigan. They beat Michigan State. They beat Wisconsin. Realistically, with those rankings heading into the actual selection of the 4 teams, you're liable to end up having Notre Dame at 5. So Cincinnati's going to be sitting there 11 or 12-0, and their best win is the team right behind them.
Well, because
They're in.
Look at the
They're
teams
in.
that they beat, man.
Well, I mean,
come on. I mean, I want to give them credit for being undefeated, and I get that. But at the same point in time, like, look at who they played. Like 1-8 teams. They played some stinkers. I mean, some of these teams is ass. I don't really. I mean, we're beating. Yeah, we're beating Tulsa by 8. They're 4-6. They were 4-6 at the time. Or no, 4-6. We're beating South Florida. 2-8. We're beating Tulane.
okay.
Tulane's
I admit,
1-9.
I admit.
Correction. They're 1-7.
Okay, well,
I want to reward the focus it takes to be undefeated on the season. I do, but when I look at other teams that are playing top competition and they just happen to lose.
All right, well, let me put it to you this way: Cincinnati's non-conference games,
mm-hmm.
all right, were okay. They had one cupcake. Their other 2 non-conference games.
Don't say nothing outlandish now.
No, wait a minute. Listen. Okay, I'm going through their schedule. Okay, they beat Indiana on the road. Now, Indiana was supposed to be much better than they've been,
but it didn't turn out that way.
Okay, understandable, but they were supposed to be better than they've been. So that was at the time.
That's a good win.
Scheduling that should have been like okay, because Indiana should not be this bad.
But if we're going to do that, then I could also do that same thing with other teams that have better non-conference games, like when Alabama beat the doors off of Miami when they were ranked 14th at the time.
Okay, well, all right, but Cincinnati's got SMU, who's 8-2.
They haven't played them yet. Have they?
Okay. No, I said Cincinnati's this week plays SMU, who's 8-2.
Okay, that will be an impressive win.
Then they play East Carolina, who's 6-4, and then
it's a decent team, but
then the conference championship. Hold on, the conference championship would be against Houston, who will also likely be undefeated and 11-1 when they play. And Houston right now is ranked 24th, so by then they'll be ranked somewhat higher than that. There's another quality win for you to get in.
I know you want it. I mean, shit. The way I'm looking at this schedule right now, I look like fucking Houston gonna beat Cincinnati anyway. To be quite honest, they beating teams that they're beating teams better.
They may, but based on like I said, if Oregon loses another game, which they could, Alabama loses another game. If Cincinnati wins those games that they should, and they beat another ranked team in the conference championship, that's 2 really good wins, especially
who well, when we got teams with several.
But again, you're going to have a bunch of 2-loss teams behind them.
I get it.
They should be in.
I get it. But
they have to get. You can't keep them out.
We can because
you can't.
Strength of schedule is a real thing. It's a real part of the discussion. So I mean, if I'm looking at Alabama, who's beating Miami at 14 at the time, Florida at 11 at the time, Mississippi at 12 at the time, and they beat Arkansas, and they beat Auburn, who isn't ranked right now, but is a good team relatively. Better than some of the teams that Cincinnati has beat for sure, without a doubt. Then I mean, like even the teams that aren't ranked are way better than some of the teams that Cincinnati has played.
Yeah. I think
Yeah,
again,
What?
if somebody loses, Cincinnati does its job and wins those next 3 games, they're going to get in.
They deserve to be
They're,
in. I
they'll
hear you.
be
I hear you.
they'll get in.
When they get slapped on national television, I'm gonna at you on some type of form of
That's
social
fine.
media.
That's fine. But
I'm a,
if they're 4, if they're the 4, which is probably what they'd be,
no, for sure.
they'd get Georgia.
Oh
I'm
boy.
going to tell you now, Georgia will not roll them.
Okay, and then when it happens, I'm gonna go Black
I'm
Panther on you. I'm like, Gramps, is this your team?
fair enough. Fair enough. Fair enough. Fair enough.
Yeah, I don't know. My last point. I hear you. I don't want to be unfair to, like I said, an undefeated team. It takes a lot of focus and discipline to come
You
out
can
every
only
week and play.
it's
You can
again
only play who's in front of you. You're
you
right.
can only play who's in front of you, and
Unfortunately, they played better teams in front of them. I can't ignore that.
no, and it's unfortunately, like Cincinnati, their conference hasn't been great except for Houston, who they haven't played yet, and their non-conference their non-conference scheduling was expected to be better than what it actually turned out to be, but they did schedule it, so I give them credit for scheduling it.
Yeah, but like,
I know the committee probably won't, but
when
I give them credit for scheduling it because they went and played a Big Ten team on the road who should have been better than what they are at the moment based on what they were last year because they brought back the majority of that team. So they just fell apart, fine. But they went on the
instead of them
road
playing, oh, go ahead.
and then I'm pretty sure the Notre Dame game they beat Notre Dame on the road.
I think so too. Yeah, they did.
Those count a lot more than a lot of road home
I mean,
wins.
Notre Dame is impressive, like I said, but I mean, maybe instead of them playing Miami, Ohio, and Murray State to start the season, maybe if they schedule, I don't know, a mid ranked team or something, like that, like come on, Murray State.
Well, again, I'm sure the expectation also was that the conference would be better and that there are other games like Notre Dame and Indiana would have been better, and Indiana would have been like a ranked team, and they would have had those two to hang their hats on, and the conference overall would have been better, but it didn't.
I mean,
Hasn't panned out that way.
I don't think the conference is bad, especially necessarily at the top when you have like
Because
Houston.
because you would think the way the program has been
SMU.
recently that UCF would be, has been a good program. It seemed like had built a good program, and
Yeah. Right. Yeah. I mean, they've been good in the past. Like I said, I don't think it's a bad conference. I just think that when you compare them to like SEC, it's just really hard to win that strength of schedule argument. And when I look at like especially like the earlier wins, like the Murray States and the Miami Ohio's, it's just like I don't know how much stock I can put
I
into
just
those.
look if Cincinnati was ranked like 7, 8 right now, that point makes more sense. But they're 5.
But should they be? If that's another conference, should they be 5?
No, I don't know. I mean, but they are,
You're right. I
and
mean,
they are.
they are.
So if someone above them loses and they win 3 more games, and one of them's going to be another ranked team, you got to put them in. You can't say they can't move up one spot, being 13-0 with two with you know what I mean.
Yeah. But I mean, okay, yeah, I get you. I get it. I get it. Who would Oregon play if they were to win out? Who would they play in their
They'd
championship?
probably stay. If you assume things stay as is,
So like if everybody wins out, basically.
well, then that would include Alabama beating Georgia.
I mean, but they're still
Then
gonna be in the
Georgia would
championship.
probably what they would probably do is if Oregon and Ohio State win out and Alabama beats Georgia, they are not going to move. They're not going to drop Georgia to 4 and have them play Alabama again. They would drop Georgia to 3. They'd probably move Ohio State to 2, and then keep Oregon at 4. And if Oregon loses, then it would be Cincinnati. But just based on the 4 it's there now, Alabama beats Georgia. Alabama would be 1. Ohio State would be 2. Georgia would be 3. So you'd get Georgia, Ohio State, and you'd get Alabama, Oregon. Because you wouldn't put Georgia at 4. They're not going to do that and have them play Alabama again right after that. No, they won't do it.
I'm just gonna wrap this one up because
Yeah,
I just said about this one. Not a lot, but gonna move into some NBA stuff and do something called Contenders and Pretenders. Now, obviously, it's still early in the year. A lot of things can change between now and then. Like the Wizards being number 1, might not make it to the end of the year. But as for right now,
So
who do you guys see as like being legit and like actually being like looking to make a deep playoff run potentially, or like a team that came out hot but fizzled out at the end? Will fizzle out so far.
are we all individually going to pick our own, like, one pretender and one contender, or how are we going with this?
sure.
Yeah, individually. Like you have one contender, one pretender, and go down like that.
Okay. Let's see. I will. I guess I. Then
Somebody else to go first?
tough. I'll start it. I guess I'll start with a pretender.
Mhm.
So right now we got the Dallas Mavericks at 4. I think they're pretenders. I'm looking at the teams, and out of the teams that I believe that are gonna stay, they're the team I don't see staying in that one spot. I know Jason Kidd is come in and they play a little different. They're not as Luka dominant, but
and KP's playing really well.
he's definitely playing better, but I don't know. I don't see it. I'm not gonna believe in KP.
I don't think any of us ranked them that high anyway. So,
well, originally I was gonna say the Suns are my contenders, but I mean after they got to the finals last year, I know a lot of people thought that their playoff run was fortuitous, but I don't know if any of us particularly think that. So I didn't want to say that because I feel like none of us actually think that the Suns are pretenders. You know what I mean? Yes, I was gonna say them, but
yeah.
I mean, I could say the Jazz. I could go to the Jazz again, but PGP knows I've been shitting on the Jazz for years, so I didn't want to do that again. But I mean, I can do that. I can do it again if you want me to. I mean, Mike Conley, Bogdanovich, or Jordan Clarkson. Neither of those guys, I think, can be the consistent complement to Donovan Mitchell. Over the years, we've thought that it can be done by committee. This past year, they thought that it could be done with committee with Bogdan and Jordan. I mean, Conley was hurt a lot of the playoff run, but I don't see him getting much younger or providing much more of a boost than he already did in the regular season to prove otherwise. So, they're relying on Rudy Gobert to give you quality offense. Then I don't know. I don't really know what else there is to say.
In the beginning, he was doing good at it for a little bit.
I mean, Rudy Gobert is a great player, but he is not what I would say. You don't want him, being the second or third leading scorer on your team.
Yeah, like if he's your second option, you're going to struggle a little bit more.
Exactly. And I guess my contenders, a team that started hot that wasn't in the conversation last year, is the Chicago Bulls. I mean, I don't, when they signed Lonzo and they got DeMar, I was ecstatic because I was like, this offense is going to be amazing. It's going to be very fun to watch. You have a guy in DeMar who is a mid-range assassin still a good finisher, can play make with the ball in his hands, can be a secondary playmaker. And then obviously you still have Zach LaVine, who is just an elite scorer at this point. You have Lonzo, who is a really good defender, can be a good playmaker, and has improved his 3-point shot tremendously. And I haven't even got to their all-star center, who can also stretch the floor, can pass. So it's just like offensively, they can play a lot of ways, in my opinion. And the they're two big guys in DeMar and Zach. They complement each other very well because DeMar is able to get the ball off the live and make a move off of 3 to 5 dribbles, whether he gets to his mid range or he make a play. And it complements with Zach very well because Zach is a great off ball 3-point shooter. So like they can play well off of each other. And then you bring in Lonzo as well as Caruso, who plays a lot of minutes for them now too. Those guys can keep the ball moving, make smart IQ plays. They both can shoot, although Caruso is a little more shy on the trigger than Lonzo is, but that's quite all right. You don't need to be taking a lot of shots if you have, Lonzo, DeMar, and Vooch and LaVine.
Defensively, he's carrying.
No facts.
Defensively, he's putting in that work. Like plus minus wise, he's going stupid.
I'm interested to see what they end up doing with Kobe White because I saw a report that said that they were going to try to trade him for like a starting level power forward since they lost what's his name? Patrick Williams, I want to say.
Patrick Williams, yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. I'll
could be in the Bagley race. You never know.
Potentially. I don't know. I haven't watched a lot on Bagley, so I don't know how good he is defensively. But if he can be good defensively, but also the Kings, they don't need another guard though.
But they'd have 4 guards at that point.
Yeah, but Kobe definitely is a good player. He has good size. He can shoot. He took strides as a playmaker last year. He probably would be playing a lot of minutes now if he was just healthy from the get go. But he came in late, and this team is rolling. They have really good chemistry with their main guys right now. So it's hard to want to try to interrupt.
But defensively, he would be the liability trying to throw him back in there now because Lonzo probably would have started either way. I feel like, but
no facts.
Caruso was growing into that number 2.
Exactly, Caruso's playing a lot of minutes. I feel like right now, and maybe Kobe could take Io's minutes. I always struggle saying his last name, but
yeah.
but man, I mean, he could take his minutes, but I don't know. I'm starting to question his potential role on this team. I mean, we know he has the talent. We saw it. Even last year, like they were a playoff to play-in team before Zach went into the protocol. So he was playing, relatively winning basketball on a potential playoff team. So he has the talent. I just don't know if he fits on this team anymore. So we'll see. But they are my contender for sure.
All right.
You got Gramps.
All right. I'm going to start with my pretender. You ready for this one? Hot takes.
You're gonna talk about my guy, aren't you? You're gonna talk about my guy Kuz. All right, here coming. So go ahead.
My pretend. No, well, that's an easy choice.
Wow.
Honestly, that's an easy choice. There is no way. That's not my pick. But there is no way the Wizards are going to be like 1-2 in the East. None. But anyway,
no, not 1-2, but they can make the playoffs though.
Okay, my pretender, and I'm not saying this as a like non-playoff team. I'm not saying it in that sense. My pretender, the Warriors.
Oh, you don't think they're a contender?
No. I don't. Not like 1-2 seed, like 60+ wins. No.
I mean, they're 13-2 right now.
I understand that. Very hot start, and they're playing really well, but no, I do not believe that. No.
Oh man, that's tough. Tough. No. Based on what?
Just, I think they're going to come back down to earth a little bit. Now. Steph's not going to be able to go crazy every night.
But he did last year. He's averaging less points.
And Wiseman coming back, and then Clay coming back. There's going to be an adjustment. They're going to come back down to earth. They're not going to finish like 1 or 2. No.
In the West?
No.
Who else is who's going to overtake them? I mean, the Suns.
Suns is probably Jazz. That's still my pick.
I don't see that, man. That's tough for me to see. Just because I feel like
hot takes don't like the hot take. So hey, whatever. Okay, that's fine.
I thought we.
Hey, this is scalding though.
I thought we were here to debate though. That's we debate each other's takes. I thought that's what we're here for. I mean, I can see, Andrew and Jordan Poole kind of cooling off a little bit, but that's why it's so exciting to get Clay back, where they don't have to all be that second and third guy every night.
I just think they're gonna come back down to earth a little bit, and there'll be some adjustment once Wiseman and Clay come back, especially Clay, and they'll probably be in the 4-ish range.
I don't know which range.
4-ish.
Well, what I would
maybe 5.
The question I would ask you is, when you talk about them coming back down to earth, a lot of their success is them as a team committing to their play, to how they play offensively and defensively. It's not like everybody's going completely crazy. Like, yes, Steph's going crazy, but I mean, that's what he's going to do. Like, he's averaging under 30. He averaged 30 last year, so I don't see that being an issue. But offensively and defensively, these guys are just playing really well within their system. They've all committed to their system. So
yes.
Are you saying that going forward that they won't do that, or they're just going to just start missing shots? Because
the consistency will dip down a little bit. They'll come back down to earth. I'm not seeing it. It's a great story right now, but I'm not seeing it. I think they'll fall back into the end of around the 4-ish spot. I don't recall where I had them finishing, but I don't think it was that high.
I didn't have them as high as they are right now either. But what I've seen, I can't really ignore. I mean,
that's just what I believe. This is what I believe. Contender. I mean, I don't.
No, you want to talk about them Wizards? Let's hear it. Go ahead.
No, I don't. I don't, man.
It's right there for you.
It's right there. That's right. They're right smack dab in the middle of the
Now, what are we talking? No. Let's preface this. When you say contender to what degree?
Contender to, like, I think to who did I say my contender was?
Bulls.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So yeah, I think a serious threat to, like, get to the finals.
Yeah, deep playoff run eligibility.
Yeah, that's how I took it. I think the Bulls could beat the Nets and the
Heat. It's the problem is picking someone. If you want to pick someone who's not like an obvious choice,
yeah, you could double down on the hot take though if you think. I mean, because it's still early. Double down.
You can.
Maybe a team that's low right now, but could pick up steam by the end of the year. You never know.
Because there's plenty of teams that are outside of the playoffs that won't be.
All right.
Yeah.
Bucks, Celtics, Knicks, they're all out the playoffs right now. Well, no, the Celtics and Bucks are out the playoffs. They're in the play-in right now, but they won't.
Even the Lakers are 9 at 9. They're 8-8. So.
Yeah.
All right. Just because I don't want to pick like one of the usual suspects. I'll go with the Clippers.
I had a feeling you were going to say that.
Yeah, I really like what they're doing.
Action.
I really like what they're doing. I like the depth. I like the team play. I like how they get at it on defense. I probably 3-ish. But and I think this will be consistent enough throughout the season to where to add on to that, they'll be consistent enough and keep this up to like around the 3-ish spot throughout the season. And I think that will motivate Kawhi to come back, and then Kawhi will come back. And I think they could very easily make another run of the conference finals.
That's tough for me. Because
Mm.
I want you guys to know, I'm gonna take credit for this one too. Didn't I say Paul George was gonna be a dark horse MVP candidate?
Yes, you did. I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm not. Okay.
But no, with
I
Ty
yucked
Lue,
your yum. I yucked your yum. I yucked your yum at the time, but look.
he's
Things
playing. Hey,
things
he's balling.
things change. Yes, things
But
change. But
If Kawhi is able to come back with him having that high seed, like you say, I think it would be very interesting to see
I think it'll
what.
motivate. I think them playing the way that they are and maintaining this throughout the season, I think will actually motivate Kawhi to rehab harder, put more effort into it, because that's been a question.
No, I agree. But I
And I
think
think that will motivate him to rehab harder to come back sooner than probably people think he more than likely will. And then they can make a run to the conference finals
no, I
with
get that.
Kawhi.
I think it'll be interesting to see how Ty Lue handles all of it, and whether he decides to change the offense or whether he, in my opinion, keeps it how it should be moving forward, and that is
That's going to be a thing. That's
Having
going to
Paul
be
George be like the run the offense to Paul George, because he's the more rhythmic scorer, whereas Kawhi, you can literally just let him run him off plays and let him get to his spots because
that
he's very
will definitely
methodical.
be a thing. But that's
Yeah.
yeah.
Hmm. All right. Well,
Let's hear about Cade Cunningham.
I know I'm not gonna go that far. All right, so I'm just going to Pretender first. Also, just as like a side note, I said the Wizards were number one earlier. They're like one game behind, but like just the Heat and the Nets technically. But
Yeah, they're all with 5
yeah,
losses. Yeah.
yeah. So as a Pretender, as much as it pains me to say it, I'm gonna say Grizzlies mainly because as these games have progressed, obviously it kind of shows more that Ja is just only almost there as far as being like a predominant leader for this team specifically. And there's still
Mm-hmm.
just a ways to go. Like they competed really hard early in the early stages so far of the season, and Ja's putting up amazing games. But team as a whole really isn't there yet enough for them to hold on to like seventh seed at least. Playing wise, maybe I guess, but even then, like, I don't see them moving the
I still
needle
think
that
they're a
much.
playoff. I think they're a playoff team still.
I think they'll be in the conversation, but
7, 8. I think they're a playoff team still. I mean, I won't dispute you that much, but I still think they're 7, 8
Yeah.
a playoff team. Yeah.
they need Dylan Brooks to be a star type player. Honestly, in my opinion.
It's either that or Jaren, because Jaren has been out for so many like long stints that he's just not the
Yeah,
player that he used to be.
but
And Brandon Clark, I don't know what happened to Brandon Clark. So.
I hate Jaren Jackson as a player though. So I do, and I know I knew I threw his name out there for potentially most improved. I think earlier in our first pod, but it bothers me that a 7-footer basically can't rebound the ball. It bothers
Yeah,
me.
that's why the Steven Adams trade was more or less not like looking back on it. It made a lot of sense now because
Mm-hmm.
they kind of just need somebody to just go get it and then throw it to him because he's mainly a stretch. But
Yeah.
you're looking at like what the rankings are right now. I mean, obviously the Lakers are at 9. They don't have Braun back yet. Thunder at sometimes look like they can be a playoff, not a play-in team. They scrape in a little bit, and then the Timberwolves, even though they're low right now, they could maybe pull it together. There's a lot of what ifs, but the Grizzlies probably could drop out if certain players on the team don't like step up a little bit more.
Yeah, they got 2 teams on the ass because Dame has been playing mostly terrible. He hasn't even really caught on really yet. So if he starts playing like
For
he's
Dame to be
capable,
playing as bad as he is, to be as bad as he is, and they're 8-8,
yeah, and he's
it's kind of
playing
crazy.
scoring wise, he is struggling. So yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah. Contender? I'm gonna go with a hot take. I ain't gonna lie. This might be stupid. This might be the greatest thing I do all year. But go with the Hornets. Go with the Hornets for this one.
Really?
Yeah, and then I'm gonna break
Okay.
down why. So,
All right.
first off,
We're definitely waiting for this. Yes.
Griff is like, really?
I'm gonna break this down because at the same time, Chris Bradley is thinking like, wait, there's that like I look he. I said Rui Hachimura is better than LaMelo Ball.
Oh, we
I'm
know
still
that
sticking with
true,
that.
though.
I know I'm still sticking with that. But for this season, because Rui's not playing, so far,
Shit, last year
LaMelo's
too.
playing out of his
But
LaMelo's playing out of his mind. Like he's getting the shooting down. Team as a whole, Bridges. I don't think Washington's played in a bit, but where even though he's hot and cold, still giving them some serviceability. Then plus they beat the Warriors, who's number one,
they
and at the
did.
time they beat the Wizards, who were number one. So in back-to-back games, I think. So deep. I ain't gonna lie, this might like contradict when I say deep playoff run, but at the same time, I mean, if you can beat two top teams at some point in the season, you kind of you're in the range to compete if you make it to the postseason. And then even last year, if LaMelo didn't have the injury, they probably would have been in the playoffs, like off rip. So
Yeah, that's fair. I personally think they're a couple of years away, if at all, from serious contendership with this roster presently as constructed. You know, Miles Bridges definitely took a very nice step forward. LaMelo came out hot. He's given us what we expect him to at this point: 16 to 18 points.
Forgot Gordon. Yeah.
7 rebounds, 7 assists. Yeah, but I don't know if Gordon is really on their timeline moving forward. He's a nice player right now for them, but I don't know going forward if he's going to match that timeline with them. And Terry's just coming back, getting in the groove of things too. So I mean, they've got nice players. I don't know if I would go that far though, but yeah. I feel like it depends a lot, in my opinion, on Bridges' development, because I didn't even see this. I didn't even see this step coming at all, to be quite frank.
I mean, overall, I feel like because I think him and Jaren might have been in the same class. I'm not sure on that one. I know they were at college together at some point.
Let's see. I think they did, because he came in 2018, 2019. So yeah, and then Jaren was the first fourth pick in the 2018 draft.
Yeah. I feel like Bridges is taking the player growth that Jaren was seen to get, because Jaren was the better shooter in college. For the most part, he was the better shooter in college. But as this is going on, granted, Jaren has just been hurt so much. Bridges is adding on a jumper. I knew about his athleticism. Now he's putting it together to lead a little bit more.
Yeah, I would say they're I would definitely say they're different players too. You know, one is a wing, one is like a stretch four.
Yeah,
or
like
wants
a
to be a stretch
wing
four
type thing.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Anything on that one?
Interesting.
Just interested.
Interesting.
I think Gus wants to shit on your pick.
No.
Shit, I do.
Well, I mean, go ahead. No, I mean, like, you know, as a Celtics fan, I actually take a little solace in him using that on the Charlotte Celtics. But okay,
the Charlotte Celtics.
Yep. Hey, Hayward and Rozier, it's the Charlotte Celtics. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
True.
Yeah, I like them. I do. I like them. I like the Hornets. I do. I can't really hate. I can't.
Just like overall, though, they just really played some really good basketball. Granted, I wanted to pick the Wizards, honestly, just because like Rez is surprising me, but I kind of had to switch that up.
Bradley's not even playing. Bradley's not even playing that well. That's the crazy thing. Yeah, he's playing decent, but he ain't playing as good as he has in the past.
Now, if Bill stops dropping 30, then it might change. But yeah, if he's averaging 30 again, then it'll definitely change. But all right, go on to this last thing right here. The NFL season starting to get to the finish line. Go into a thing called a biggest surprise and the biggest letdown. Now, this could be either player or just a team as a whole.
Okay.
Who do you guys have as like surprise or as a letdown?
All right. I would say my biggest surprise. I'm going to say the Patriots.
Sure.
Their defense is really good. I knew it was good, but and honestly, Mac Jones played really well.
Yeah, yes.
They're running the ball. They're used. I know. They always use multiple backs. I get that. That's just a Belichick thing. But they're running the ball really effectively. Their blocking schemes are really good. Max making really good decisions. He's yeah. I know he doesn't have the arm or the strongest arm and the mobility, but he's making really good decisions. He's making some really nice throws. He's commanding that offense. He's looking like a 5-6 year vet out there. I'm really surprised. I'm really surprised they're 7-4, and they could really be like 8-3, 9-2 easily. I'm really surprised, honestly, by how well they're playing. I did honestly. I honestly wanted to pick the Cowboys because like how because they are so. Come on, they are so not as good. They're still not as good as they're playing, but whatever.
I mean, you're only as good as you play.
I know, but they're let down.
You said we can pick players and teams, or what was it?
Yeah, you go either or.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll go with it. I'll go with the team though. Wow. My biggest letdown. I'm gonna actually go with the Dolphins.
Okay.
Really, they're mostly the same team as last year. They made some free agent additions. I understand Will Fuller hasn't played. Okay, fine. But they won 10 games last year, and they ran the ball fairly effectively. Not great, but effectively. And their defense was really, really solid. And they just I don't get it. Like they still for the most part have that same defense and they're just cheeks. I understand I understand the quarterback the position is in flux. I know Tua would hurt his hand, but they were more or less the same thing last year. And it was Tua and Fitzpatrick and the defense just they're starting to look a little better now than they did at the beginning of the season, but I am really disappointed that they're this bad because I did not expect them to be this bad. I thought they might be like 4-5 or something at the moment, just kind of like they're like middling around 500-ish kind of team, but this bad? No, no. I thought they could. I really thought they could possibly make a wild card run, and they're just terrible. This is really major league letdown, especially their defense.
They can't run the ball at all either, though. The run game is awful.
Yeah.
Running back room is very, very confusing for them right now.
Yeah, they don't know who they want to commit to.
Well, they can't really block for anybody either, so it's like, But
they're 30th in rushing.
Yeah, that offensive line is just
Jeez.
So.
Yeah.
Chris, you want to go next?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and start it. My biggest surprise, I'll go with teams as well. Surprise team, the Arizona Cardinals. Honestly,
Sure.
they played well in Spurs last year, and they looked like they were definitely competitive. I'm pretty sure they were 10-6 or 9-7, and did make the playoffs. But
Yeah.
I mean, this year they've looked flat out dominant when guys are out there and healthy. When Kyler's out there, they look like a completely different team. Their defense is good. I think they're just a well-rounded team.
That defense is way better than I thought they'd be. Way
Yeah,
better. Way better.
exactly. And I wasn't even like as far as like their running game or their running backs as far as committee. I wasn't so really on Chase or even James, but they have a
No,
very
me neither.
but they have a very
I've been
nice
good.
yeah, they have a very nice like mixture with them. With Connor being the goal line inside 20, they giving carries to Chase and on the passing routes, and they're getting production from a lot of receivers. AJ Green, they're getting production from when Kyler was out there, which I wasn't sure if he was washed or not, but I mean he's producing as well. Kyler was looking like an MVP candidate before he got hurt. So I mean they're definitely
Yeah.
a real contending team when Kyler gets back healthy, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And it's nice to see because I like Kyler, definitely like him.
Yeah.
Kyler's solid.
Yeah. And then disappointment. I'm just gonna go with the Cleveland Browns. As you all know, I am the resident Chiefs fan of this pod. So
Yes,
I'm not gonna pretend to say that their struggles don't just give me a little tinkle, just a little bit. But I didn't expect it. I will say that I didn't expect them to be 5-5. With them, with Myles Garrett and them adding Jadeveon and obviously, getting Odell back. But well, he's gone now. But at the beginning of the season, getting him back healthy and having Chubb and Kareem when they were healthy, like I anticipated this team being one of the best teams in the AFC. To be quite frank, and that has just not turned. I don't know. That just had turned out. Like they have a good team. They have a great team. They have good statistics, but they're losing games. It's weird. And I don't want to put it all on Baker. I mean, some of it's definitely on Baker, but I feel like I don't know. I feel like it's unfair to put it all on him. But I mean, he's the quarterback, and they're not getting it done. Close games, it seems like sometimes. So I don't know.
Defense has been spotty. I mean, injuries have played some role.
True, but they're still getting a decent pass rush with the defense. So I mean, it's not all bad on that defensive side.
Offensively, I mean, the backup guys they brought in that 1 week didn't look. Of course, like none of them are going to be like Chubb, more or less.
Oh
but
yeah, like
they were serviceable enough to where like
the Ernest
be brought
Johnson
up
and
he looked good. He did.
Stanton, I think, fullback. His name is Stanton.
Yeah.
Like those guys did did enough.
But for some reason though, they're just losing games. Maybe let me take a look at the schedule, honestly. Losing close games at that. Well, they got blew up by the Cardinals, but they lose the close game to the Chargers and Justin Herbert. That's probably one that I would say, if I'm a Browns fan, that's one that Baker has to pull out. You're going against another young quarterback in the Chargers and Justin Herbert. That's one you got to pull out. You lose to the Pittsburgh Steelers. That's not really a good. That's a bad loss, and then you get the doors blown off you by the fucking Patriots.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
young Matt gave him the work.
Yeah, that's not has it's not it has not been a good season. I'm not ready to say that give up on Baker. I'm nowhere near there yet, but I will say I'm not convinced that he's the long-term solution. But I have a mentality about the NFL. I feel like you only replace if you have a replacement or a better option available to you. So I don't think they should just get rid of Baker because they don't have a better option. Unless there's like a quarterback coming up, which I mean they're not bad enough to even get that type of draft pick. So I mean, they just got to stick it out. Hopefully, they can start riding the ship. They're nowhere near out of it, but 5-5 and fourth in their division. I imagine that's not where they envision themselves. They probably thought they were going to be. I mean, I had them as the best team in their division at the beginning of the season, honestly. But yeah,
or if at most they should be where the Steelers are right now.
Facts.
All right, put a bow. What do you got for us, son?
All right, so I'm gonna go with the surprise first. Both of these are in the AFC, surprisingly. Go with the Bengals as one of the surprises for me, at least.
I thought about them.
Yeah, like Burrow when healthy, literally looks. Bare minimum, like barring, like of course, there's gonna be a couple of like growing pains here and there because like there probably is a couple of games they probably should have pulled out. Yeah, it's like him and Jamar are like literally one of the better young tandems right now. And even though he's had like weeks of like where he would struggle, still one of the top running backs, at least in that division, for like trying to rank the 4. And even defensively, that defense is a lot. They make a lot more plays than you would think, in a way.
It's passable. It's a passable defense. It's a serviceable defense. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Like safety wise, I mean, they got Von Bell. Yeah, like Von Bell. Like they got a couple positions are locked up, but they still got a lot more to work on. But as far as just where they are record wise for ahead of a team like the Browns with all that talent, like well for themselves. And but I'm saying the same division. My biggest disappointment is the Browns. Literally, have they literally have had one of the most talented teams on paper past 2 seasons in a row. And even like I'm not even gonna say Odell was more or less like one of their issues because sometimes they play better without Odell, so I'm not even gonna include him in that. But just team overall, either just needs like some interior motivation, like whoever their team captain is ain't doing enough, or somebody like the coach got to go. I don't know. Like that team is way too talented to be just getting clapped by the Patriots, even though the Patriots are playing really good right now. But you're getting clapped by Mac Jones.
But I mean, you can't get killed like that. Yeah.
Yeah, like and then like of course like with Herbert, it's like Herbert's best game was against them, and then after that he's kind of been spotty. So it's like they gave him his best game so far of the year. So yeah, they aren't out yet, but the Browns should definitely kind of. This team is like there's just too much talent on this roster for us to be this slow. There's too much talent on this roster.
That's pretty succinct and fair.
Yeah. I mean, they do play the Lions this week, so I mean, they could just bounce back and blow us out by 30. So I mean, but Myles Garrett,
I don't think so. I don't think so.
I mean,
I don't think so.
They might give us our first victory. Who knows?
I don't even think, to be honest with you, I don't even think they'll score 30 on you, much less beat you by 30.
Oh, here's
the way they're looking right now, the way they're looking and playing right now. Can you really say they'll even put up 30 points, much less beat you by 30?
No, they're probably gonna try to pound the run and just get out there with a dub.
That's not that hot of a take.
I think this might, if it is a road game, then
the faith in Baker is wavering in Cleveland. You can see it.
That's the home game. Okay, so right. Pretty sure that wraps it up for this week, fellas. Some pretty nice stuff going on.
Yep. Good show.
All right, so I guess plug in some socials. I'm gonna just go first. Follow me on Twitter at PTP_99. Guys.
Follow me on Twitter at Tony the Real.
You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Christy Collins. I'll be the guy retweeting Kyle Kuzma highlights.
And don't forget to follow us on Twitter at Going for 3 Pod.
Oh, and one more thing. Speaking of the Twitter, I'm not sure how many of you guys voted, but the poll is finished.
Oh my
And,
god, he's gotta throw that in there at the end of the show.
we almost forgot. We almost forgot. Yours truly had the best list in the eyes of the people. Actually, not the eyes, the ears of the people.
Oh, that's really crazy.
I
There
spoke
was
to the people.
Chris. There were 6 votes. He got 3. I got 2. You got 1.
I respect everyone's wrong opinions.
I call rig. I call rig.
Hey, you guys saw it. I didn't tweet anything.
I call selling. I call selling.
That one person out there though. That one person out there, they know their stuff.
Look, PTP had the more flashy, probably the more, but it's the more flashy, more probably like more likely what will happen for real on day 1 of the draft in reality. But the poll was about who's
the best players.
The top 10 actual prospects in the draft, not like who will likely be the top 10 picks. And I think PTP's list was more akin to who could be drafted in the first 10 to 15-ish picks in reality on draft night, which is probably why he won, because they probably looked at it that way, which is fine.
More catering to the people. That's what he has. He's catering to the people.
I mean, that's okay. Look,
Hey, I mean, okay, granted, put it like this. I still had 2 Michigan and 2 Michigan State players on my list. The people probably don't even know who that David Ojabo dude is outside of
unless
my Wolverines.
Unless your 3 votes were Michigan people.
It probably would.
I mean,
I don't know, man. I don't know, Chris. I don't know, Chris. Could be some selling here. We might have to. We might need an audit on this. I don't know.
Hey, so at some point, though, hey, for all the listeners out there, there's gonna be more polls throughout, because there's still some weeks left and a bunch of other stuff. If I win another one, then I mean I'm just that guy. Like I don't know what to tell you.
Oh my god!
If I win another poll,
bring the basketball polls out. I will.
Maybe putting him in charge of the show this week was a bad idea. He's a sell.
Wow.
Now he's just putting it to put it. Let me speak. Sorry, Chris, but let me use some wrestling speak, because we will do some wrestling content at some point. This man is putting himself over hard right now.
Oh wow! So I'm Tony Khan now, huh? Like
he's marking for himself. Wow. That's all I'm saying.
I feel deceit right now. Disrespect. But hey, let me just wrap this up. All right. Appreciate you guys for listening. Back next week, and have a good rest of your week. And we'll see you guys next time.